My name is Jane. I married my husband Darwin 6 months ago, and we currently live near his family home. Darwin has a non-identical twin sister named Darcy, and the bond between them is very strong. In fact, their closeness sometimes surprises those around them. At our wedding, Darcy, without regard for the onlookers, shed tears that outshone the bride's attention. Darcy is the type who expresses her emotions vividly, but in a way that is unusual. She often says she is straightforward, but people who claim to be so are rarely that way. Darcy uses her words as a shield to make insensitive remarks casually, an example of what you might call straightforward fraud. People who claim to be straightforward often tend to dominate, and Darcy is a typical example. Even though we're family, Darwin and I naturally make up after fights. But a wife is ultimately a stranger. Fights could lead to divorce. So, if you ever have any trouble with Darwin, don't hesitate to consult me. I'm straightforward and, as his twin sister, I understand him well, so I can give you precise advice. Darcy always says this and repeats it every time we meet. Every weekend, Darcy comes to our home and stays late into the night, occasionally getting so drunk she ends up staying over. During such times, my husband apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry. My sister is still single, and she feels lonely because I got married first. She'll settle down once she finds a partner. I'm really sorry." But I can't feel his genuine remorse. Despite my growing irritation, Darcy visits our home without hesitation. "Hey Jane, you really are petite, aren't you? My brother and I are about the same height. Every time I see you, I think about how small you are. Petite women are attractive, aren't they? Actually, I was scouted to be a model before I really admire small women, haha. And people say twins have a telepathic connection, right? It's really true. I immediately know what my brother is thinking. Of course, I also know his type of girl, so I was honestly surprised when I heard he chose you." Darcy boasts and expresses her superiority with these remarks, but I know why she has started coming to our home so frequently. When a mutual friend told me about her, I felt a bit of sympathy for her. Thus, no matter how harshly Darcy commented, I made it a point not to touch upon that matter. However, "Hey Jane, you used to live in an old wooden apartment, right? Wasn't that tough? Poor thing. Are you small because of malnutrition?" My brother and I grew up well because our family was financially comfortable. Furthermore, did you marry my brother because of our family's financial comfort? I really feel sorry for you. After all, you and my brother are not a match, right? But it's not your fault. Growing up in a poor family is indeed tough. Looking at you, it's clear from your upbringing. At that point, my patience finally ran out. I was already fed up with the repeated rude remarks, and I could not stand the insults to my family any longer. I can't take it anymore. How can you ridicule someone's family like this? Are you saying I'm small because I'm poor and malnourished? What? What are you talking about? Suddenly enraged, Darcy was taken aback by my attitude, but I could no longer control myself. Are you upset that I took your brother away from you? If so, say it directly, not in a roundabout way. Sister-in-law, I heard you were recently dumped by your boyfriend, right? The man you liked is getting married, and you dislike that his chosen partner is a type very different from you, right? Are you not interfering with that woman because you still have some sanity left? In reality, she is also distancing herself from you because of the same reasons as me. What are you talking about? I know everything. You compare her with me and dislike me even more, don't you? You always claim to be straightforward, but in reality, you are more insidious than anyone else. What? What are you talking about? Please leave now. And never come here again. Someone who insults me and my family does not deserve to step foot in this house. What are you saying? Why are you talking like that? I'll tell my brother. Please do. Feel free. Go ahead. How awful. You really are the worst. Darcy left in a fury, her face red with anger. It was just as someone I know had told me. Darcy often says she is masculine and has many interactions with men. She has a particularly close male friend, and I heard they often go out to eat, watch movies, or drink together. When she misses the last train, she sometimes stays over at this man's house. The nature of their relationship is unclear, but Darcy often mentions at parties, "If I don't find a boyfriend, I might consider marrying this guy. We sometimes talk about getting married if neither of us finds someone else. I don't see him romantically, but I think we could spend our old age together because we've known each other for so long." The true intentions of the male friend are unknown, but he only nodded in response. Darcy stated she had no romantic feelings, but her affection for him was evident. Especially when an attractive woman who might catch his interest appears, she tries to hide him from that woman, and at parties, she sticks close to him and doesn't leave his side, so her feelings were clear. In fact, Darcy was definitely in love with him, but it seems he didn't feel the same. He was quite dismissive of her. A mutual acquaintance told me. Yes, that's why he secretly announced his marriage and distanced himself from Darcy. Perhaps he never really liked Darcy and feels lucky to have been able to put some distance between them, a friend said. Honestly, I have similar feelings, but aside from my likes and dislikes towards my sister-in-law, I can't help but empathize with her as a woman. I've tried several times to counter her sarcastic remarks and quiet her down. However, I felt it was unfair to criticize her in such a way, and I disliked appearing as if I was flaunting my status as a married woman. But I couldn't bear my sister-in-law's thoughtless actions, and I ended up getting emotional. I feel like I've lowered my own dignity. I don't regret it, but I feel somewhat unpleasant. I wonder how my husband will react. But he also values his family, so he should understand my feelings. When he comes home, I intend to tell him everything honestly. That night, my husband came back with my sister-in-law, and he was furious. "What have you done?" "I heard you made rude remarks to my sister, and that you mocked her with terrible words." Hearing my husband's voice, confusion crossed my mind before surprise. It seems my sister-in-law exaggerated the story to my husband. "Look, my sister is crying. It must be something serious for my usually bold and masculine sister to be in tears. Apologize to her." Behind my husband, my sister-in-law was holding a handkerchief to her face. "Wait a minute. Won't you listen to my side of the story? Do you know she insulted my parents? Haven't you heard about that? My sister would never do such a thing." My husband refused to listen to me, and seeing my sister-in-law smirking at me from behind him, my anger flared up again. "I don't know exactly how your sister said it, but I've been continuously subjected to her sarcasm. I've told you about it many times, but you never really listened. Your sister said we were poor and badly raised, and she even said that my marriage to you was for money." "What?" "True, my family was poor, but I never felt inferior because of it, and my parents did everything they could to raise me without hardship. I'm not interested in your family's wealth, and your sister was the first to use foul language. I could tolerate her sarcasm until now, but I can't forgive her when it comes to my parents. Wouldn't you get angry if someone insulted your parents?" Upon hearing my words, my husband fell silent for a moment and looked towards his sister. Then my sister-in-law covered her face with a handkerchief again and started crying loudly. "Sister-in-law, why don't you wipe your tears and tell us the truth? You always claim to be very straightforward," I suggested, and my husband's eyes widened suddenly. "Don't joke. I can't believe my sister would be such a nasty person. After all, it's true that your family is financially struggling, isn't it? What's so bad about telling the truth?" my husband shouted. At those words, I went momentarily blind. "Do you really think so?" I should have listened to my sister's advice. I should have understood when she said that people from poor families have bad upbringing and should be avoided. She was right. What are you trying to do? Degrade my sister? Have you been thinking that all along? Yes, your cooking tastes poor, and over time I've felt that our standards of living are different. But your attitude now has made up my mind. I can't stay with you any longer. Ultimately, I can't get along with poor people. I'll pay the alimony, so please leave. Go back to that old house of yours," he said. The smirk on his face was the same as my sister-in-law's, mocking me. I no longer had the energy to say anything. "Understood, I'll leave." Saying this, I packed my things into a bag and walked to the door without making eye contact with them. As I was about to open the door, my sister-in-law said, "This settles it." As I've always said, you can make up with family no matter the fight, but it's impossible with outsiders. You really are pitiful. At least try to live happily in that old house with your family," she whispered. I glanced briefly at my sister-in-law and quietly left the room. My father is a skilled carpenter, but his artisanal spirit did not translate to business acumen, and my mother worked part-time to support the family budget. We were not wealthy, but we never struggled to live. I had believed that my husband had chosen me with a full understanding of all this. I thought that if I talked it through with my sister-in-law, she would understand. However, reality was different. I was confronted with the unique bond of twins. The most painful thing was realizing that my husband despised me. He insulted the cooking my mother taught me as poverty-stricken, and I realized that he never truly loved me. Outside the house, I immediately contacted my parents. Hearing my mother's voice made me cry uncontrollably, and I explained the situation to her in bits and pieces as she was surprised. "I'm sorry, Mom, but I couldn't stand them ridiculing you and Dad. You sent me off wishing for my happiness." After telling her everything, my mother sighed deeply. "I'm coming there now. Your father is coming with me," she declared. "I appreciate it. We're coming by car." "By car. Your father hasn't been driving much lately, and I'm worried, but it will be fine. Just stay put." "Okay, thank you," I replied. My parents' house was about a 30-minute drive away. As I was waiting at the entrance, my sister-in-law suddenly stuck her face out of the window and said, "Are you still here? That's creepy. Maybe your house is gone? Was that old house demolished? Darwin, Jane is still here. Come take a look." My husband also appeared at the window. "Are you really still here? What are you trying to claim? It's meaningless for you to apologize now. My decision won't change. Oh, do you need money? That's too bad," he said, throwing a $10 bill at me. "Take a taxi and go back quickly. If you linger here any longer, I'll call the police, okay? If your family gets involved in crime, it will only make your house more impoverished," he taunted. At that moment, a black car approached, and they were mesmerized by it, saying, "Wow, really? Who could be in there?" a politician or something. The car stopped right in front of me, and the door quietly opened. "Miss, your ride is here." Ay! As I was handing my luggage to the driver, the window of the back seat of the car quietly opened when they saw me and opened their mouths in surprise. "Darwin, Darcy, it's been a long time." Father-in-law. The one who spoke was my father. Behind him, I could see my mother's face. "Why?" "My daughter has been under your care here. This area is residential, so we can't park for long. We have a little matter to discuss, so could you please join us in the car?" "Darcy, you are also welcome. It would be great if your parents could join us too." As my husband and sister-in-law stood speechless, my father got out of the car and invited them again. "How about joining us?" Drawn by my father's overwhelming presence, the two got into the car. This is my first time in a limousine. It's impressive. Sitting opposite my father, my husband and sister-in-law, though overwhelmed, tried to ingratiate themselves with smiles. We could have taken another car, but I haven't been driving lately, and my wife was worried. I'm not quite sure what this is about, but where are we heading?" "To our family home." "I'd like to have a thorough discussion with you and your sister." "Your house?" "I don't understand what you're talking about, and why this car. You might be wondering why ordinary people like us are in such a luxurious car." "Oh no." Under my father's intense gaze, the two shrank back as we arrived at our destination. As we got out of the car and they saw the large gate in front of us, they were lost for words. "What? Where is this?" "This is my family home." The previous wedding was small and family only, so you haven't met my father, Jane's grandfather. I wanted you to meet him today, but unfortunately, he's been hospitalized recently. I'm sorry I couldn't introduce him. As the gate slowly opened and we moved forward, my husband and sister-in-law followed closely together. As soon as we entered the house, my husband and sister-in-law were frozen in surprise. "Please have a seat." When my father urged them to sit down, they did so with astonished expressions and looked around the house. What is this? What about the car we just got out of? Is this some kind of prank? Whose house is this? Surely we didn't enter without permission." "You ask an interesting question. This is my family home." "That can't be true. When we went to greet you for the marriage, it was an old wooden house." "I wish you would stop joking." When my father signaled, a maid placed business cards in front of them. "Oh, a carpenter with a business card. A. Peterson Trading?" "The famous corporation. That card belongs to my grandfather. He is the chairman of that company." As I spoke, my mother added, "My husband is also an executive at the same company." "Really?" "Not only that, but our family has been landowners for generations. Many of the lands around here are owned by my grandfather." Really? Why would he choose to be a carpenter? "To live in such an old apartment. My father resisted taking over the family business and chose to be a carpenter in his youth as a form of rebellion. Since Jane was born, he has reconciled with my father, and he has been supporting our lifestyle. Now, we enjoy family trips abroad once a month. My mother's family owns an internationally renowned dress shop. In their youth, they were inspired by the lyrics of a song to pursue such a lifestyle. By the way, remember in middle school when you almost missed the school trip because you overslept? Grandfather sent me to the location by helicopter when I was desperate. As a result, I arrived even before the buses. I was surprised, and so were my classmates. It's true that I used to live in an old wooden apartment, but I spent weekends at my grandfather's spacious house with my family, and we celebrated special occasions like birthdays there. It felt as though I had two homes, which was enjoyable. A. Why have you kept silent for so long? Wait, Jane's maiden name doesn't match her grandfather's last name. That's true. You must be lying. You're crafting such a clever lie to deceive us, you poor people. At their shouting, all our family could do was sigh. Just 30 minutes after being kicked out by my husband, there's no way a house and car could be prepared so quickly. In the first place, no one would create such a massive lie just because they were insulted. When we first got married, my husband moved into my family home due to a conflict with his own. However, my brother and his wife took over our family home, and my husband was destined to succeed his father as the chairman. As my mother explained, my husband grimaced while gripping the business card tightly. Jane, why did you keep silent? Yes, if we had known this. If you had known, would you have treated me better? When I asked this, they turned away and became speechless. If you ask why I kept it hidden, it's because I didn't want to make our family lineage public. I'm sorry. I'm tired of people judging others by their family background, and my parents despise such values too, so I agreed with them. However, I cannot remain silent when my daughter is insulted. My father loves Jane very much, and if he were here now, I wonder how he would have reacted. A photo of my grandfather was hanging behind my father, as if he were scrutinizing my husband and sister-in-law's behavior. By the way, the company your father works for is actually our subsidiary. Did you know that? As my father revealed this fact, the expressions on my husband and sister-in-law's faces suddenly turned pale. I actually wanted to meet them today, but are they at home? A. Our parents are, I believe. Yes, they are currently on a trip, right? Yes, that's right. Their clearly flustered demeanor was a definite sign they were lying, but the absurdity of it made my father laugh. Understood, then it can't be helped. Later, let's have a thorough discussion about the actions you took against my daughter and whether your parents share the same views. A. Is it necessary to have this conversation? Why do you need to confirm such a thing? I want my daughter to return home. She wishes it too, and she asked us to come and get her. Are you saying she should get divorced? Wasn't it you who suggested that proposal? A. Jane. I could only nod under my husband's gaze. Wait. Being suddenly called here, faced with the fact that you're wealthy, and now being pushed towards divorce, this is too absurd. Yes. If we had known this wouldn't have happened. So what are you trying to say? What would you have done if you knew about my family background? That means I had endured my sister-in-law's words because I still had love for my husband. However, today, seeing my husband's true nature, that affection quickly cooled. Today, seeing how my husband ridiculed my parents, I realized I can't be with him anymore. I'm disappointed in his attitude of judging people based on their family background. You and your sister said today, poor people should go back to their old homes that's not suitable for us. That means you're asking for a divorce, right? I want a divorce too. Wait, that was just a play on words. I meant it as a joke. But didn't you say to yourself, you feel our different standards of living day by day? And you also called the traditional flavors poor. Even if it was a joke, I can't live with someone who makes such remarks. The divorce is mutually agreed upon, so if you start anew with someone of the same living standard as you, everything will be resolved, right? That is, So let's discuss this issue again with your parents. For today you may leave. Shall I send you off? As the maid tried to guide my husband and sister-in-law, my husband refused and yelled, "It's no joke. What are you saying I did? In reality, weren't you the ones laughing at us behind the scenes?" He was visibly angry, his face red with anger. My sister-in-law continued, "Exactly. Pretending to be a poor carpenter but actually being wealthy? Did you call us here to trap us? What is this? A recreation of an old drama? I don't believe such things. Is this really a real house? Or is it some kind of set? Are all these staff here hired actors?" She was yelling just as loudly as my husband. "Calm down first," my father said, trying to soothe my husband. But as my husband tried to shake off his hand, his arm brushed against a vase beside him, and it fell to the floor with a crash, shattering. A gasp went up, and the maids rushed to the broken vase, their faces turning pale. "Why are you so surprised?" "It's just a vase. It's probably just something from a dollar store," my husband declared loudly, looking down at the maids who were gathering the pieces. Seeing this, my father sighed as he picked up a piece of the debris. "You said you would pay alimony to proceed with the divorce, but can you afford the price of this vase?" he asked. My husband exclaimed in surprise. "It's worth $100,000. My great-grandfather had it made by a famous artist. It's irreplaceable." After finishing his explanation, my father pressed to confirm again, "Did you tell my daughter you would pay alimony?" Under my father's sharp gaze, my husband's complexion shifted from pale to stark white. "Wait. It was my brother who broke it. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't even touch the vase," my sister-in-law protested, but no one responded. As she screamed, she clung desperately to my arm. "See, it has nothing to do with me, right? Why are you angry at me? I can only think I'm being misunderstood. I'm the type who says what's on my mind right away, and if that's why you're angry, I will sincerely apologize. I intend to change that, okay?" While calming my sister-in-law's shaking arm, I stared directly into her eyes. People who claim to be straightforward don't run away or dodge issues. Don't use that as an excuse. Unfortunately, a minor action has escalated into a major incident, I said. My sister-in-law was at a loss for words, her eyes wide open. "Can we take a moment? I can't keep up with this development. We are still a married couple, right? So let's take this back home and discuss it thoroughly between us," my husband proposed, but I felt no sympathy for him. "Do you remember when you broke your grandfather's valuable ashtray as a child? Yes, that ashtray was worth $50,000, and I was utterly helpless as I apologized." "Yes, but grandfather forgave you immediately and never asked for compensation afterward." After I spoke, the expressions on my husband and sister-in-law seemed to soften a bit. However, I began, standing in front of them, and spoke the words they had been hearing repeatedly. Family relationships can be mended, but once there is a breakdown between a married couple, it is difficult to repair. "This is something I learned from you twins," I said. At this remark, their faces paled once again. Afterwards, our divorce was officially finalized. My in-laws said nothing during the divorce and cut off all support to the twins under the condition that they would pay for the vase, which saved my father-in-law from losing his job and my mother-in-law from social isolation. I had never imagined that my grandfather was held in such awe. I heard that my ex-husband and sister-in-law are secretly working night jobs to pay for the vase. The twins, who were once very close, had a major fight over the compensation for the vase, and now they don't even talk to each other. My father continues to work hard as before, and my mother continues to support him as always. Because of this incident, I have caused a lot of trouble for my parents and grandfather, so I sincerely reflect on this and intend to live humbly from now on.